Good afternoon. Once again, you are welcome to Moment of Empowerment with Ezekiel Ojo. Today, by the grace of God, we're going to be looking at the topic titled, When the King is Idle. When the King is Idle. Kings are busy people. You don't always find a king idle. An idle hand is the devil's workshop. The office of a king is a leadership position, and leaders are, simply put, very busy people. When you have the call of God upon your life, the demand of care and caution becomes more enormous. In the story of 2 Samuel chapter 11, we see the anointed of God, King David, stayed behind while his soldiers were fighting a fierce battle in Ammon. In verse 1, the Bible says, "And it came to pass after the year was expired, at the time when kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him, and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon." That means there's a time that kings are expected to be in battle. "And they besieged Rabbah, but David tarried still at Jerusalem." He tarried still at Jerusalem when he was supposed to be on the battleground with his soldiers. Whenever you create a season of idleness in your life, you engage in doing nothing when something crucial and significant was supposed to be done. You may likely find yourself in trouble because you are not engaging your time productively. So King David, in his idleness, went to the top of his palace and peeped down to see a woman take her bath. What an idleness. An adult, a king, peeping at an innocent woman taking her bath. And his eyes fell lustfully on the woman called Bathsheba. Bathsheba was not just a regular woman. She was the wife of a loyal army officer under King David, who was busy serving Israel on the battlefield when King David was eyeing his wife. This is nothing but lust. Talking about lust, the Bible has a lot to say. In 1 John chapter 2 from verse 15 to 17, 1 John chapter 2 from verse 15 to 17, the Bible says, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, they don't belong to the Father, but is of the world, and the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of God abideth forever." The problem with the lust of the eyes is not only what you see, it is what you do and how you process what you have seen. It is not just in sin, it is what you do after sin. From verses 3 and 4, the Bible says, "And David sent and inquired after the woman." He already saw the woman, so he started processing. "And one said, Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Elam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? And David sent messengers and took her. And she came in unto him, and he lay with her. For she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned unto her house. What did David do? He inquired and asked questions about what he saw. He acted on the processed results by sending for the woman and having a carnal knowledge of her. Evil seeds have a way of quickly producing after themselves, as expressed in verse 5, and the woman conceived. Just one encounter with the king was enough for her to conceive. And sent and told David and said, I am with child. Now the game of cover-up and manipulation started with David. He tried to pin in the pregnancy on Uriah by recalling him from the battlefield with the hope that he might be tempted to go into his wife. But Uriah was a professional soldier to the core. From verses 9 to 11, the Bible says, but Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of the Lord, and went not down to his house. And when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down unto his house, David said unto Uriah, carest thou not from thy journey? Why then did thou not go down unto thy house? And Uriah said unto David, the ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open fields. Shall I then go into my house to eat and to drink and to lie with my wife? As thou livest and as thy soul liveth, I will not do this thing. Uriah confronted the king with a professional truth. My colleagues cannot be fighting, and I'm having fun in the house. So, the strategy number one did not work. So when that did not work, David went the social route by trying to get Uriah drunk so as to unconsciously go into the wife. Verse 13 says, and when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. And at even he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his Lord, but went not down to his house. Despite the fact that he was drunk, he still did not go to his house. And at the end of the day, he commanded that Uriah be put on the hottest spot of the battleground without any backup. And Uriah was killed while the wife moved into the king's palace as a wife. And the Bible says in verse 27, but the thing that David had done displeased the Lord. And that was the beginning of the downward trend of the reign of King David. A glorious career and relationship with God started to nosedive. This is what idleness will cause. Keep your life busy, brethren. Engage in service. Let your motives be right, and the journey of life will be smooth. Do something productive with your time and resources. When you refuse to do something productive with your time and resources, the devil will create a job for you to do with your time and with your resources. And before you know it, you start jumping from one iniquity to another iniquity. An idle hand, indeed, is the devil's workshop. Pay attention to what you do with your time, especially when the hand of God is upon your life. You cannot afford to idle away, because the enemy knows how to keep men busy if they don't know how to keep themselves busy. When a king becomes idle, the whole land will suffer. Till I come your way again next week on the same episode of Moment of Empowerment, I remain Ezekiel Ojo. God bless you.